So it has been a really long time since I've made a video, and I am so sorry. Truth be told, I work full-time, and I also went back to school for a psychology degree, so I'm like really busy all the time. My last video that I posted basically a year ago was about a dream I had about my father, and seemingly it was as if I had went into the past, into his past, and it was just this weird, bizarre kind of experience. No need to retell it. There's a video, I'll link it in the description if you haven't watched it. But I thought that I would talk about a dream that I had a few months ago about this guy that I met on Tinder, which sounds ridiculous, but just hear me out. Instead of going into the past, or to his past, or my past, it was as if I had saw into the future of our first date. And guys, a couple days after having this dream, we did go on a date. And I saw what I saw in this dream. It was a dream of our first date. Yeah. It sounds crazy. I know, like, it sounds crazy, but this wasn't even the only thing, weird that happened with this guy. There were so many synchronicities and just weird kind of seeing into the matrix, the shit that you're not supposed to be aware of kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Especially if you're into like spirituality and, signs and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you do have some stories about someone, or, just any kind of experience in your life where you've just, like, it's like they're screaming at you, the signs and just the synchronicities and just stuff that, like, is just too much to be coincidental. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, feel free to share your stories because they're really awesome to read. I love reading and hearing about those sort of experiences because it just makes you just look at the world a little different. It feels like magic. And again, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's like you're seeing through the veil or something. It's just crazy. But anyways, with this guy, I met him on Tinder. And at this point, I had completely just given up on dating and Tinder, especially. I'm so particular about the type of people that I like to talk to. And, I'm not into the whole, like, small talk thing. I'm very intellectual, and I like to have, meaningful conversations. And with him, he messaged me first, and right off the bat, I was like, this is going to be somebody I can talk to. And interestingly enough, he was not from the get-go someone that I thought that I would be into. Like, he was not my type, like, at all. It was complete opposite. And I thought that was pretty interesting, but the intellectual connection that we had and just the ability to have actual conversations that felt, that felt meaningful and just interesting, it was enough, and it kept me in it. Well, we talked on Tinder, and then eventually he asked for my phone number. We talked without meeting for about a month, and then the dream happened. So in this dream, I was at the top of like a mountain, so like looking out, and it was this place in my hometown area where I grew up, and there was like a slight sunset happening. I could just see out and see the houses and stuff, and it was just really, really beautiful. And I'm just gonna say, like, straight up, I've never been hiking. I've never, been on top of a mountain in that way, so it was just a little strange. But I ended up turning around in this dream, and there was this Tinder guy. And I was just like, yeah, so this is, where I grew up. This is my home. And it was just really beautiful, and it was a very peaceful dream. Well, a couple days later, Tinder guy was like wanting to actually meet and go on a date. And I will just say that his thing is hiking. Like, it's one of his passions. He loves the outdoors and nature, and I do too, crazy enough, but I've just never had the opportunity to go hiking, and I've also just never known anybody that would go hiking with me, and it was just kind of scary to go hiking by myself. So I just have never done it. So he wanted to go on a hike because he hadn't been out in a while because, you know, he's just been really busy. He was getting a PhD and he'd been really stressed, and he was like, well, maybe if I meet you, it'll take away the stress. And he's like, I haven't been out in a while. So he was like, do you want to go with me? And I will just say now that I do not condone like going into the woods, into like the mountains with like somebody you've never met before. Like, like I would have never have ever done this before. I would have never done this. I don't know what came over me. I really trusted this person. We had been talking for a while, and I don't know, like, it's just, I will just say that right now. I do not condone doing that. But I was like, sure, yeah. Like, I really wanted to meet this guy. And he sent me a text, and he was like, well, have you ever been to blah, 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 this place, which was my hometown? And he'd never do it. We never talked about, like, where I was from. But he talked about where, like, he was from. And, like, he wasn't really, like, he was actually from out of state. And he came, you know, to my state to get his PhD. So I just kind of lost it. I had this flashback of that dream. It was as if I was re-dreaming it. Like, I saw everything I saw in the dream. And I just lost it. And I started, like, frantically texting him, just being like, holy fuck! Like, I had this dream, and, like, I told him about it, and I felt so weird telling him about it because I hadn't, you know, and I felt really weird telling him about it because it's just weird to have, like, some stranger basically tell you, like, I've been dreaming about you. So that night, or that evening, it was really late. We honestly should not have went hiking at this point because I didn't get off work until around like 4:30, and the sun was going to set around 8, and it was like an hour drive, and again, I'd never been hiking before. So he picked me up and we drove, and in the car we just had a lot of conversation, and it was great. I mean, I felt like I'd seen him the day before. I wasn't nervous. I did not have any sort of anxiety. It just felt natural. And then we started on the hike once we got there, and there were just a lot of synchronicities happening just on the hike, and just weird things, and it was really overwhelming, and it was making me feel like I was high, like on a drug, if that can resonate or make sense to any of you all. Like, there was just like a rush, and I just felt so ecstatic and just euphoric with him, and it was actually making the hike even more difficult when it was already difficult for me because I've never been on a hike, and it was not super steep, but it was like steep enough to where like your girl was like struggling. And he was like, you know, he's very seasoned in hiking, so I just felt like legit kind of crazy. And there were moments where I was like, this guy's like never gonna talk to me again after this, like block, delete, bye. But truthfully, there was something inside of me that just like knew that once I got to the top of this mountain, to the lookout we were going towards, like something in me just knew that I was going to see what I saw in my dream. Like, I just knew, and it was like driving me. It was like motivating me to like push through this hike and get to the top of the mountain, because I just knew, and just everything that was happening along the hike with him, which was just adding to the magic of it all. And it was honestly getting to the point where, like, you know, the sun was starting to set, and I was kind of like worried we weren't going to make it, but I was like, you're going to make it. You're going to get there. You're going to like see your dream. And I was like telling him this. I was like, I was determined to make it, because almost in a sense to prove it to myself that I'm not freaking crazy, that I had this dream and like I know what's waiting for me up there. I sound crazy, but guys, like, we got to the top. I'm getting chills. I feel like almost the way I did then. Like, it's crazy. We got to the top, and here was like the lookout, and as I went up there, it was what I saw. And I started crying. Like, I'm about to start crying now. It was what I saw, and I did. I started crying, And I was just like, this is it. I was like, this is it. This is it. This is what I saw. Like, legit. I saw this in my head in dreamland like 2 days prior, and he was there and he's here now. You know, I was so overwhelmed, you know, trying to tell him about it, and was like crying, you know, there was like tears swelling up in my eyes. And I'll never forget this moment. Like, we were just sitting across from each other on the lookout, you know, just looking at the beautiful scenery, and the sun was starting to set, and he just like reached over and like just kind of like caressed my hand, and like his look on his face was just like, oh, like you're so crazy. Like, but I'll never forget that. Just like the way he looked at me, and just the feeling of magic. It was just magic. Is those moments like those are the kind of moments like you live for, like stuff that you like see in movies. It was honestly probably one of the most amazing moments of my life, and I know that he would never understand it, or really anybody, even you watching this video, because you didn't experience it. But it was so bizarre. And then it just, again, like so many more things have happened since knowing him, and you know, that was a few months ago, but that was like the big thing. And it just makes you wonder about everything, about dreams, about just life in general, about, you know, the whole simulation, you know, simulation theory and the Matrix and spirituality and the paranormal and time, you know, like everything all at once happening, and you're just tapping into certain, I don't know, it's just crazy. So I thought I would share that because I thought it was so intense, but it was, again, one of the most amazing experiences of my entire life. Dreaming something and seeing something in your head that way, and then just a few days later, actually seeing it in real life. So yeah, that's the story. I thought it was a little interesting. Okay, I thought it was crazy, but thought it was pretty interesting. Thought I would share it. I get a lot of comments like, I'm so sad you don't make more videos, or, you know, make more videos and stuff. So thought I would make another video, and I would actually like to make more videos about stuff like this, and, you know, psychology related things, paranormal related things, spiritual things, because I'm really into that. And I feel like my life experiences have pretty much shaped me to have an interest in that, because my life has just been very strange, to say the least. Yeah, I also am really into meditating and stuff like that, and I do have a crazy story about that I could also make a video about and share. It's pretty unbelievable, so it's kind of, I don't know, weird to share. I guess it's becoming a little bit normal to talk about these strange paranormal kind of things, but at the same time, I know it's really hard to believe, and it's a lot to really put out there, and it's kind of scary to make public videos about it. You know, I'll tell people that are close to me about these sort of experiences, but making public videos talking about strange, otherworldly things is a little out of my comfort zone. But I know that there are people who are interested in it and who also can relate. So I think I'll maybe try and make more videos about it. You know, if you're interested, let me know. And if you have some crazy stories that you would like to share with me, please do, because I spend a lot of my time researching this sort of stuff, and it's just really interesting to me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that cool stuff that, you know, YouTubers say. Again, it's really strange for me. This is just out of my comfort zone. But